with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Whitney edition, day number 18 at Saratoga of Talking Horses. He is the Big A, Anthony Stabile. I'm Andy Serling. We hope you have a wonderful day here at Saratoga. We're going to have 12 races to talk about, so we're going to take care of business, and the business is NYRA Bets. If you're not a member of NYRA Bets, head on over to NYRABets.com. Use the promo code SPA200, and we will match up to $200 of your initial deposit, and you will be playing and supporting racing in New York. Nothing more important than that. We also have a bankroll builder if you bet $50 to win on today's Whitney, race number 10 of our 12-race extravaganza. That's the Grade $1 million Whitney. Win, lose, or draw, $20 back for the Travers Stakes. Pick 5 menu. We've got 3, as my friend Anthony Stabile has told you on many Saturdays. 11 or 12 race cards, or 13 or whatever, at least 3. Pick 5, race 1, race 6, and race number 8. I'm guessing race number 6 is all stakes. Where else do we got? We got Saratoga Live, 12:30 to 7. If you can't join us here at the track, and a lot of people are joining us right now as the gates just opened and people are pouring in on a beautiful day at Saratoga. All right, Anthony, let's get rolling. Race number 1. I knew that Anthony couldn't pass on his friend Bill Mott's horse, Boston Flagship. We'll take a look at this horse's first race, the debut. I thought this horse had an absolutely perfect trip. I don't know. He's got the experience. He lost to a decent horse. He's the horse to beat. I don't want to take him. I'm going to take somebody else.
Well, you said everything I was going to say. So there it is. There you have it. He did lose to a pretty good horse, and he's got the experience now, and more importantly, the experience around the 2 turns. And I landed on him to start the Whitney Day card.
Yeah, I thought he could add a little bit more run at the end, but maybe he was just running against much better horses. But I didn't really think he did that much running, but a 66 buyer for a debuter is fairly strong. The number 8, Speak Unity, show you guys a stat for trainer Jonathan Thomas, who, by the way, told me the other day that he is a big deadhead, so he is very high on my list right now. How about this one? Sprinter routes on the turf with maiden, stretching out 7 for 16, 13 hitting the board, 286. Source ran in a sort of reasonable race, losing to Lucci first time out. Now stretches out. That stat works. This horse should have speed. I'm going to take a shot with this one based on the stat.
He certainly should have speed coming out of the sprint race, right? He's a fresh gelding after just 2 starts in his career. We'll see what that does. And, yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to try and steal one on the front end here.
Gooch Go Bra, your second choice in this race?
Yeah, Gooch Go Bra. Male was 3 for 13. Siblings are 0 for 2 who have tried the turf, but Todd Pletcher, this one has had a couple of turf works, draws the rail, gets around Ortiz Jr. I would imagine this one's a little live.
Yeah, this one has all the accoutrements to take way too much money between Todd Pletcher and Irad Ortiz. And the problem is, and the dam was good, her 2 foals weren't just 0 for 2 on the turf. They were absolutely atrocious. And for what it's worth, Todd Pletcher has excellent numbers with debut runners in turf sprints up at Saratoga. Is just 2 for 23 over the last 5 years in turf routes with debuters and a 60-cent ROI. And overall, at all racetracks with 2-year-olds making their debut in turf routes, he's just 6 for 77, 8% and a $1.12 ROI. Todd Pletcher does many, many things well. This is not one of them. The number 2 actually is probably the one that has a really great dam side pedigree. They paid $300,000 after a very strong 10 of 5th 2-year-old work, which is the reason I picked him. But also, the dam is 3 for 6 with their production. The 3rd dam is Courtly D, who's one of the great turf broodmares and broodmares in general. There's some pedigree on the 3 for Brian Lynch. We'll see how it plays out. The number 7, Steal the Cash. Didn't Kirk Wyckoff tell us the other day, and this is 3 Diamonds, Kirk Wyckoff, that he liked an English channel that he bought kind of cheap? Or was he just talking about his English channels in general?
He was just talking about the English channels in general.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. So I'm not using tips anyway, but that is going out for the very live leading trainer Mike Maker and Kirk Wyckoff, 3 Diamonds, currently tied with Klarovich Stables as the leading owner. Race number 2. What did you do in race number 2?
I went to Kirk Wyckoff and Mike Maker with Journeyman.
Isn't that an Eric Clapton album?
I'm not sure.
I thought it was.
I'm not sure.
Is this a dirt horse?
I don't know. We're going to find out. He won the Canadian Derby. He won the Canadian Derby. That I can tell you. The last time he was on conventional dirt.
You know who was second? A 25 claimer.
Well, he won with an 84 buyer.
How do you
speed
think
figure.
the Canadian Derby participants up at Century
He
Mile
won
would
with
do
an
in a
84
50
buyer
claimer at
speed
Saratoga?
figure, and that 84 makes him competitive here.
He didn't win. He was disqualified.
He was disqualified, yes.
So
Andy.
he didn't.
He didn't win.
I hear you. I picked him second. I'm giving you a hard time. I got a question. What do you do with American Tattoo? American Tattoo's last race was
There was a time where
good.
American Tattoo would have tattooed this field.
Well, based on his last race, he's a major contender in here. I know he's 30-1. Trident Hit came back and finished third to somebody good. I can't read my... Oh, Anthony. You don't know who Trident Hit, the horse who beat him, finished third to?
He was in the stakes,
Your
wasn't he?
current favorite horse in training, Forza
Forza
d'Oro.
d'Oro, yeah.
And improved 3 buyer points. The 4th place finisher improved 6 buyer points in the subsequent start. So American Tattoo strikes me as a very, very dangerous horse for trainer Norm Cassie. I have the horse third. Ultimately, I want Zoomer going to the lead. And with the scratch now of the number 7, Zoomer's supposed to be in front. I don't trust Zoomer. The big fig from Zoomer 4 back, that was on a gold rail. Joel Rosario with speed horses, 1 1/8 races. I think we got a little taste of that yesterday.
Yep.
He's very strong at it. I'm going to try to wire the field with him. I thought it was a very tough race. I don't think you and I saw this race particularly differently.
We did. I was going to do the same thing and try and wire him with Zoomer, but I figured I'd take a little bit of a different face with Journeyman.
Yeah, I'm just a little... I don't know that I trust that this horse is that good on the
And
dirt.
you know I love Canadian Derby winners. I'm a big fan.
Anthony actually, when he was a jockey, rode in the Canadian Derby without much success. Biggest scratch probably on today's card was the heavily favored Tuggle coming out of race number 3. A very disappointing scratch for me and even worse for Anthony because he would have had a chance to win. But I don't disagree with you. Life and Changer's a little dangerous. He did run against tougher horses last time out.
Yeah, he ran against tougher last time. 2 starts back, he tried to go long, and now he's going to get back to doing what he did very well. 80 buyer speed figure to break his maiden on a fast dirt track, going 6 furlongs. He's drawn inside. Joel Rosario just has some speed. I would imagine Joel from the inside is kind of under the gun a little bit in here, and this horse will be forward.
He's not the speed. I mean, Newbaum,
No, but he has to
Newbaum's a
be.
bullet.
He has to be forward. Yes, behind Newbaum.
He'll be fitting about 4th or 5th in a 5-horse field. I mean, not with all due respect, he's not faster than Stage Left. He's not faster than Dream Bigger. That's okay. I mean, I don't think he needs to be forward. I think he probably gets a decent trip. It's a small field. He should have the rail, but he's not forward here. He's not a speed. I mean, Newbaum's an interesting horse because this was completely taken out, and it wasn't that fast a pace last time. He actually didn't run that badly in that monstery tough race. My problem with Newbaum is I just don't know if he's very good.
We'll find out today. I know the connections seem to think the 7/8 was just a little bit out of his scope. I thought it was a combination, maybe if
We
they're
didn't
right,
lose because it was 7/8 last
And how about
time.
those? Right? How about those gorillas that were in front of
Yeah,
him?
he didn't lose because it was 7/8.
Right.
He
Well,
lost
now he cuts
because
back to the
it's,
6, and he'll get his chance. I thought it was the 1 and the 3 in here.
Yeah, I don't agree at all. I like Dream Bigger in this race. I'm sorry Tuggle scratched. It kills my price on Dream Bigger, who I really liked in here and was betting against Tuggle, who I'm not a big fan of. You know, found a stat for Rudy Rodriguez for what it's worth, and 33 of these 35 starters were at NYRA racetracks. But 2 or 3 day layoffs and dirt sprints, Rudy's got unbelievably good numbers. And I think if you look at Dream Bigger and you take a more broad view of him, this is a horse that is a 2-year-old and into his 3-year-old year was running figures that are actually comparable to these.
Yeah.
And obviously there are issues. We haven't seen him now for almost a year. But given Rudy's numbers of doing so well with these kind of returners, I think it's reasonable to believe that he'll come back and run well. And if he can build on those early season races and he draws outside the other speeds, I thought he was a really interesting horse here for Mike Rapoli.
I worry about good 2-year-old form, tailed off as a 3-year-old.
That's
Don't
fair.
see him for
But
a while.
It didn't fall off a cliff. I
No,
agree.
but
He
one
didn't
of
move
those
forward. He
problems
could have
is-
been a precocious 2-year-old. You're absolutely right.
He kind of lost a little of his speed, and I don't think that's ever a good sign.
I like Dream Bigger in this spot. I think
Okay.
he's very, very dangerous, but, you know, I won't be surprised by some others. Race number 4, excuse me, I went out on a little bit of a limb in this race. Ruse is the horse to beat, Anthony. I'm not going to argue with you. We'll show his last race. I'm just getting a little tired of him, to be honest with you.
I don't blame you.
Listen, he's also drawn an outside
Right.
post last time. His post was fine two back. He ran phenomenally well two back. That race fell apart. He ran terrific. Anthony, there's no argument. He's the horse.
No, he's the horse to beat right off the two outside draws. You'd have to think the post relief is certainly going to help. Like you said, at Belmont, the outside draw at Belmont probably not as tough as the outside draw here at Saratoga, especially on the inner.
Not even close.
And I mean, this horse ran very, very well last time
he did.
out.
No question about it.
He'll be forward.
He ran
He's in
super two back.
Yep, he'll be forward. He's in a much better
Here's
draw
the problem,
now.
Anthony, his last 4 turf races. 2 seconds and 2/3. That's a problem.
Andy, I know.
That's a problem. That's why I didn't pick him.
I know.
And I'm not.
But in 3 of those 4 races, he's drawn 11, 12, and 11.
Well, I don't think his post hurt him two back, but I get it. He's the horse to beat, but I am going to say this is a horse. I mean, listen, look at that horse in the last race yesterday.
He's got a little bit of a professional
look at-
maiden field
Look at
coming
Chad
to
Brown's
him.
winner in the last race. I mean, he won, but he was
Life
in a
and
life
death.
and death battle
Yes.
with Bailout.
Yep.
You and I in a life and death battle with Bailout in a horse suit, we might prevail.
Yes.
These horses that don't win, they are troublesome,
They
especially at
find
short
ways
prices.
not to win. You're right. You're right.
I mean, Shutters is a first-time starter for Peter Brandt and Chad Brown. Half to one horse that tried the turf, ran an 84 buyer and won. The second dam was okay on the turf. There's turf, there's dirt. They're dangerous, and they're probably the logical alternative for these connections. I'm betting Big Castle in this race. This is just one of these horses I have to bet on in here. Watching the debut against Open Company, it almost had the look of Bruce Levine. I want to get a race in this horse before I go to Saratoga. I'm not beating Ranger Fox and that crew. I'm not beating those horses, but I got to get a race into it. And I watched that race, and this horse was not in the two-path, actually it was in the rail. Broke a step slow. Kind of looked to me like a horse that's just going to run better second time out.
Okay.
And I know Bruce has been on a mediocre run. He's also a great trainer who's won a lot of races for a long time in New York. And I thought this was kind of the interesting face. I'll use the 5 and 9, but I think that Big Castle's a horse that's going to run a lot better today. I think this horse is sort of well meant.
Okay.
All right.
Be a square price,
I thought
too.
you might be on this. This had a little of a Stabile look to it.
Yeah,
Race
no.
number 5. I guess in race number 5, it comes down to whether or not you want first-time starters. I want this horse, Anthony. Why am I supposed to bet against Brigadier General at a 7-furlong race, which is not particularly great for firsters, with experience under his belt, ran second to a nice Steve Asmussen horse, and got a 70 buyer and a strong race? Why am I supposed to bet against this horse?
I mean,
This
horse ran well.
Horse ran well.
Horse ran well.
I mean, it may not come back and run as well. There might be some killer
went
firsters.
6 the first time, now stretches out to the 7.
but let me say
like
something
you
else.
said, facing the firsters going 7. Source has a decided edge with some experience under his
Firsters
belt.
going 7 are usually not wildly precocious speedball types.
Correct.
So that's going to give an advantage to a horse that you know has a lot of early speed. And we know that 7 furlongs is the right distance to have early speed. So, I don't know. Is there a story? Do you have a tip on Vodka Martini?
I just like the work
Mardini.
tab. Vodka Mardini is out of a dam, who was a half to the one and only La Verdad. Did a lot of good running. She was 7 for 20 herself.
I mean, one of my
She
better
won some
scores in
stakes.
life on her.
Yeah.
She ran a huge race in the Mother Goose. And Linda Rice scratched her out of the Prioress where I liked her and ran her 3 weeks later in the Charlestown Ladies 7-furlong race. We're in a 5-horse field. She paid 16 and change with Jose Ortiz, and she should have paid $1.16.
Her gate works are speedy. And
Yeah, but she's running at 7, and she's a Bernardini who's
is.
not such an effective sire.
I like this. I like the way this filly's coming into this race. This colt's coming into this race today. I'm going to take my chances with him.
Yeah, I got the horse third. I like the dam. I'm going to use the 3, Keep Calm, Carry On, who did do a little running at the end behind Witt for Todd Pletcher. And I'm going to use Big Skipper. The dam got an 83 buyer. 3 of the 5 foals for the dam of Big Skipper were pretty solid runners. So I'm going to focus. But I'm taking the horse Brigadier General that just ran so well in that race.
We have the same 4. We have the same
You know,
ideas in here.
I want experience in here. I don't want the firsters at 7 unless there's something really going on or there's no firsters, no horses that have run that are any good. The stakes portion of the card kicks off in the Fasig-Tipton Lure. Highly recommend any of you that are in the Saratoga area Monday and Tuesday night, head over to the sales, and start around 7 o'clock. It's the most entertaining bar you will ever go to in life, and you can bring the kids, too. But it is a bar. There is a bar there.
I won't be there.
There are horses. I know. You'll be home doing whatever. I don't know. Anyway, it certainly has a look of a race where Chad Brown is going to be extremely tough to beat.
Yes.
I'm going to start out with the Seek again with Flavius, Tell Your Daddy, and Delaware. And Delaware ran well in this race with no pace. And I think the only horse, one of the few horses has a chance to upset the apple cart is Tell Your Daddy, who is the speed. Now, Tell Your Daddy was involved in that crazy pace in the poker, but before that was involved in very slow paces, but ran well. I thought Flavius was taken out of it more. And ultimately, if I look at the entire body of work, I thought Flavius was the best horse in this race, and I was hoping he would get the money.
I think it's a coin flip between Flavius and Value Proposition. He did run well. Here, you know what my problem is with him, Andy? He doesn't win that often. And I know Value Proposition isn't a winning type, but this horse has won one time.
Okay, that's fine.
Stateside.
That's fine. Here's the problem. Let's see. In the first defense, he almost got knocked over when his brother was riding Therapist. In the Fort Lauderdale, if you care to take the time to watch that trip, it's fair to say he should have been unsaddled. When he finally got a good trip in the Tourist Mile, and it wasn't even a great trip, he ran a 105 buyer. Then got himself into trouble in the Shadwell Mile. Then he probably moved too soon in the Seabiscuit, and I think the outside post came to that. They ran a grade 1 out in California. This horse has a lot of now major excuses, but as we go to Valid Proposition in Delaware, now Delaware ran the best race last time because he was wildly compromised by the slow pace, and I thought that Jose gave him a great ride. There's nothing he could do. Valid Proposition was not compromised. He lost because of this act. Now, my understanding is they're changing.
And we've seen this.
Right, they're changing the bid on him. But right, we've seen this act before.
We have.
Valid Proposition is a very talented horse, maybe the most talented horse in the race, who is so clearly his own worst enemy, and frankly, I'm getting a little sick of it.
Yeah, I mean, look, you feel like he's the horse that can come around and have the breakthrough race. I see when I handicap this race.
I hope he does.
I feel like I've seen the best of Delaware. I've seen the best of Flavius. I don't feel like I've seen the best of Value Proposition, and maybe his antics.
Well, the best of Delaware is going to win this race, by the way, in case you're wondering.
I think this horse has a race in him.
Delaware, they'll be one.
I think this horse has a race in him that will smash these horses.
Wait a second.
But he has to find it.
Your reason for picking him is in race 10 for the 4-time Eclipse Award-winning trainer Chad Brown in his 5-year-old year is he's going to be 2-to-1 morning line. I don't think we've seen the best of him.
I don't think we've seen the best of him. No,
That's
I think there's a race in this horse, and if they're going to change some equipment, maybe that's what wakes him up.
Okay, that's not the way I would handicap.
Okay.
Let's take a look at Dreams of Tomorrow.
Well, that's why that's what makes the world go round.
I agree, but you're betting a 2-to-1 shot because you think in his 10th start for Chad Brown, he's going to suddenly run this huge race. I don't get it. I just don't get how that makes sense. Dreams of Tomorrow's race, this is at Belmont, his last turf race. Now, he got a crazy fast pace, and there was a terrible ride given to the third-place finisher. It would have been second. The problem is, under the most ideal circumstances, he's just not good enough to win this race, and he didn't draw particularly well, even though he's post 7 now.
He's jumping into the deep end of the pool here. He's faced much
But he is an improved horse, for sure.
He's
you have
improved.
to give him say that. He's an improving horse.
He would need way too many horses to not show up in here.
But while you're making these you're making assumptions about Valid Proposition, which I don't think make any sense. He's the only 4-year-old of the contenders in here, so he may be the one that actually has the move forward for him. And he's trained by a guy who's not exactly a dope either.
Maybe. Well, you see...
Shug might be a dope? Is that what you're going to say?
No, but I'll say this.
You are friends with him.
So South Bend is going to get back to the turf. And this is going to be just his second turf race for Belmont. The one turf race he ran was after the Kentucky Derby in our Belmont Derby, and I think this horse has some distance limitations where this mile and a 16th races are probably going to be better. He's tried his luck in some dirt races down at Churchill Downs. He had a terrible trip into Blame. He doesn't belong on the track with Maxfield that was proven last time. And now
apparently Warriors Charger Sprawl.
Well, now he's going to get to the turf. And he ran some races for Stanley Huff last winter at Gulfstream Park, a course that's really not conducive to his running style. Not to say that this one is.
Wait a second. What about the race he ran in the War Chant? Okay. This is a horse that would have to improve. When leaps
he'd absolutely have to improve. He'd absolutely, but
like Superman leaping tall buildings in a single bound. We got to go. I got it. Okay, your long shot play in here, throw in, is South Bend.
Yes.
Okay, that's the 6. Come back with the final 6, the late pick 6. Lots of action, lots of Grade 1 stakes as well.
Make business meetings exquisite. Make a weekend outing exquisite. Make a late night snack exquisite. Make a night on the town exquisite. For nearly 150 years, the Saratoga Spring Water Company has been producing the finest spring water available anywhere. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. We're getting into the Glens Falls at 1.5 miles. And here's Warlike Goddess coming back for her first start since April at Keeneland. I think she's the best horse in this race. I thought she really started to blossom for Bill Mott. It's amazing what she's done in such a short period of time in her career. And a horse who immediately loved these long-distance races. She's meeting some tougher horses today. And we'll talk about the pace scenario in a few moments. But after we talk about My Sister Nat. But I just feel with her, she might just be the old best horse in the race.
It's been a forward march since day. It's been a forward march since day one. She's gotten better incrementally in all of her starts, and the stretch out, like you said, Andy. Since she's went these marathon distances, she's just getting better and better. She has a very nice closing kick, regardless of distance. And like
she caught Always Shopping back at Gulfstream 2 back, and Always Shopping was in great form down there.
Yes,
it's not easy to run like that. She's an horse to beat, but let's not sell My Sister Nat short. I mean, her race in New York was actually very good. She's coming from well back in a race where that's not her, but I don't think. Is it?
My Sister Nat's along the inside.
That's My Sister Nat second, I think.
Yes.
I think. Yeah, that's My Sister Nat, the one on the inside.
She was much closer that day in the latter part of the race, but Mean Mary just kept on going. And Thundering Knights tries to cut them both down.
Wait a second. That was her.
Yeah, that's her.
She made the huge run. We had the wrong horse. She was not the horse on the inside. I apologize. No, you guys were right. I apologize. Okay. Our crack staff is never wrong. To close that far into that race, given the pace, the horse who won came back and won a Group 1 over in Ireland after finishing second. She won the Pretty Polly about 20 minutes later. It was pretty good, Anthony. I know she doesn't win much, but, she should have won the Flower Bowl. And the winner got a dream trip, and she had to go wide. It's a very good race mare.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
You're going to split them up with horses out of the Richard Dick Memorial. Is it Robert Dick or Richard? Robert. Might be Robert. Excuse me.
Robert G. Dick
Jose
Memorial.
Knows. Isn't the horse you want, though, out of the Robert G. Dick Delika? The horse is going to be loose in the lead for Al Stall?
No, I think this filly I think Temple City Terra is better when she gets her firm ground. And I think Delika is a little bit better with
this
some
wasn't soft
ground.
turf. It was labeled soft, but it wasn't. But,
there was given this ground because they talked about taking these races off the turf. Gershwin, who was cross-entered in our Dwyer,
I understand, but it wasn't soft. They listed soft. It wasn't.
That's fine, but
it's important that track should label their turf courses correctly.
Oh,
and we do it. We get it wrong sometimes too, and I correct us. So I'm not just picking on Delaware.
This filly is decidedly better, Temple City Terror, this mare, when there is a firm ground.
Here's my problem with that, and that's fine. My problem is she's not good enough to beat both of My Sister Nat and Warlike Goddess. And
I'm not looking to try to beat her. I think Warlike Goddess is going to win this race.
Once again, I'm going to use 3s, 5s, and a little 6. But regardless of that, she's not good enough. If you want to just make some big cold 3-2, have at it. I don't see it happening, but that's fine.
Doing.
That's fine. That's fine. But I'm trying to get horses in there that I think can win. And I don't think there's any way that Temple City Terror can realistically beat both the 3 and 5 without some incident.
Okay.
Whereas I think that Delika could wire the field. I think
Okay.
there's an argument that Delika controls the front end, and she's pretty darn good, frankly. So I would rather, personally, take a horse that's loose that I think there's an argument could win. You're going to tell me the 3's a lock. I don't think that More Like God is the lock in here. I think that my
Okay.
sister Nat can beat her.
I do.
Okay. We have a different opinion once again. Race number 8, the Lawn Jeans Test. And the Whitney's a great race, an historic race, and a tremendous race every year, and really one of my favorite races of the year. But this test, I thought, came up as tough as the race could come up. We'll start with the Acorn with Search Results and Obligatory and Make Mischief, who has really improved for Mark Casse. Congratulations to Mark on his Hall of Fame yesterday. To me, I'm not sure who the better horse is between Obligatory and Search Results. But to be fair, Search Results has the accomplishments that are dwarf hers. And when I thought about these two and I decided finally I was going to pick among them, I just thought that the fact that Search Results can put herself more in the race, whereas Obligatory is a little bit more pace dependent, gave Search Results an edge. So even though she's favored, and I think they both can win, and wow, you've left Obligatory completely out. I'm going to take Search Results, but these are my main two. What do you have against Obligatory?
I don't see this pace really heating up like it did in the 8 Bells. And that, I think, gives Obligatory her best chance. I think last time the extra furlong of the Acorn helped her get as close to Search Results as she did. You're 100% right. Search Results is going to get herself in the game earlier. And I think that gives her a decided edge over a horse like Obligatory. I just don't see this pace sizzling enough for Obligatory at 7 to come running like she did in the 8 Bells. The 8 Bells, they went a fast clip, and that helped her cause in a big way. I don't see that happening in here, and I think that puts her behind the 8
There wasn't a
ball.
particularly strong pace in the Acorn, and she
But
had
she
to
had
be
an extra eighth
closer,
of a
and she
mile.
still fit.
She had an extra 1/8 of a mile.
You think she's better to mile than 7? You actually believe that?
I think she's better at 7, but I think she's better at 7 with a pace, and I don't see an
You and I
incinerated
see
pace
horse
here.
racing as differently as two people
Yeah.
possibly could. For me, a closing sprinter type is so much better off in a 7-furlong race. And while I don't think this pace will be
Hold on, you don't think her
otherworldly,
Acorn was better than her 8 Bells?
they were similar. They were close. I think she showed an adaptability, but I think that
She had to do a lot more heavy lifting in the
I think
Acorn.
the closing kick of a true closing sprinter type is better suited to less distance. I think she's very much close to the horse to beat. We'll get to your horse. She's just last in our replays, if you don't mind. I do want to talk about
That's fine.
the Mother Goose with Zagel and Always Karina. I don't know where this race came from Zagel. I want to see it again. I actually not only agree with Chad Brown about his assessment after the race, I was surprised to hear him say it. He was right. She went too slow. She didn't flaunt her speed, and in not flaunting her speed, she allowed the others into the race. The problem partly is that Clairiere ran the best race because she blew the brake and got a slow pace. But I do think Always Karina will be better on the cutback. For what it's worth, Todd Pletcher's numbers cutting back in graded stakes are absolutely shocking. And this is a guy who's won every graded stakes multiple times pretty much in this country. They just come back and they don't run for whatever it's worth.
Yeah, she was given a clever ride last time, and it was more a combination of Always Karina trying to throw out the anchor and Joelle just kind of lapping
But she
onto
ran.
her. Yeah, she
Just
did. She
don't you-
did.
don't you wanna see it
I mean,
again?
She ran the best. She ran the best race of her life by 25 points. Yes, I want to see it again, and I don't think it's happening.
Okay, Super Sensational. I want to see it again as well. But I will tell you something. She was super in this race. This was some move she put on, and they weren't even going that fast.
No, they were not.
And she just ran by them. And I'm going to tell you, she runs this race again, she's a major player in this race.
Yeah, she was good last time. And you know what, Andy? This is a filly I followed all winter long, as I'm sure you did. She kept getting bad trip and bad ride.
Well,
and
why
tough
would you
trip.
stretch out a speed horse and keep rating her? And I don't know if it was the jockeys or the connections.
I have no clue, but she got to flaunt her stuff last time. And like you said, it wasn't even like she got a quick pace. It didn't incinerate in front of her. She ripped outside at the 5/16 pole, and she just rolled.
And you consider how fast the pace was in the prior race. She didn't run that badly, and Obligatory had much more go her way.
Well,
So-
she was in the clear, and this filly was blocked down inside.
Yeah,
from
I don't
the
think she was
draw.
blocked. She was sort of more spinning her wheels behind horses. I didn't. But she also was closer to the pace, too, which probably hurt her. Okay, Here's your horse, Bella Sophia, off an impressive win at Belmont. And if you want the lone speed, on paper, she is the lone speed. I'll give you that.
I know people are talking about maybe Illumination going from the inside. If Bella Sophia wants to lead, it's Bella Sophia's lead to have.
I agree with you.
Now, I'll say this.
But Bob Baffert's horses have speed, and he's not afraid to use it.
And that's fine. This filly, Bella Sophia, has sat just off the pace in both of her career victories. So if
you think she's going to win this race sitting off the pace?
I don't. Which leads me to believe they're just going to blast her off and let's go.
She's obviously talented. I am not denying it.
And she's going to be the best price
that she can
of
win
these fillies.
Yeah, I think she should be. I don't like her at all.
Okay.
You left the 4 out. I left the 8 out. I'll take the 4 over the 8 for 2 lunches. I think we're at 80.
I'll take that. I got trust.
A 4
in
over
Bella
8 for
Sophia
2 lunches. Okay. Listen, no matter she can win. This is a gut test for her. She is facing horses like she has not faced. With all due respect to Australasia.
I just don't think her figs are that far off.
No, they're not. They're not. But this is a class test, fig test.
It is.
She's got to get a little faster. But listen, she can win.
She's got to get a little faster, and she may have the edge on the front end.
I'm not falling out of my chair when she wins this race. Honestly, I don't see Illumination winning. I'm not a fan of Giselle. And Make Mischief has improved, but she's a cut below these. None of them would surprise me if they got a piece of this race. But I won't be shocked. I won't be shocked by anybody, frankly, though Illumination would be kind of surprising. Though, to be fair, Luch likes Illumination, which if Baffert knew, he probably wouldn't even shipped. Race number 9 is the second of 3 consecutive Grade 1s, the Saratoga Derby Invitational. You know, Anthony, I didn't get an invite, did you?
Nope.
I'm confused.
I was checking the. You know what could have happened, though? They could have sent them to our downstate address.
You make a great point. And also, I've never seen an invitational that includes entry payments, but maybe we've had them in the past and I just haven't noticed it. Anyhow, the lucky 11 that were able to attend this party.
Yes.
And there's a lot of Euro influence in here, and I think they're probably the right horses. We'll take a look at Bolshoi Ballet and Du Jour and Cellist. I do have Du Jour high. Why do you have Du Jour on top and over Bolshoi Ballet? Why is he going to beat him today?
You know, I just thought that first time from Mott last time, I wanted to. And guys, I made a mistake. My pick should be 2, 4, 6, 8. I apologize. It should say
Anthony?
2, 4, 6,
okay,
8.
We got it.
Okay.
This race, I'll tell you what I thought about this race. I think 2 things. I think Du Jour should just go. I think he has a chance to wire the field. I don't think he wants the distance. I don't trust him. I don't know how good he is. I was extremely unimpressed with Bolshoi Ballet. He came in here, it was supposed to be a good horse. He was favored in the Epsom Derby. He had an issue. He didn't run well.
He struggled.
And he won. This was a slow race. They went a lot slower than the fillies, and it wasn't a pace scenario. And I'm just not sure how good this group was. And the only reason I've left Du Jour in is he'll be a price, and I think there's an argument that Joel could wire the field with him. Because King Fury's really the only one with speed, and I don't see him being aggressively ridden in this race. But Jose will have to leave a bit for position, but he does. This race starts top of the stretch. So I think there's an argument with him. My basic feeling was I was decidedly unimpressed with Bolshoi Ballet. Now, maybe he'll run better. But I think the reason they're coming back with him and not the other filly is they feel they can win European race with the filly. Now, for all I know, this guy is not beating any good Europeans.
I agree with you 100%. I feel like the reason he's coming back is they felt like maybe with not his best effort, he was able to get the money last time. They come back and try and hope he improves a little bit and can beat these horses again. I'll tell you what, if he runs his last race, he's not.
He's nowhere close to a cinch. And I think the argument for Du Jour is maybe he can use his running style to his advantage. I thought Cadillac was the worst to beat in here. No brilliant selections. I know all of you are huge fans of the infamous Arm Holding International Group 3 over in the Curragh. And we'll take a look at Cadillac. I thought this horse actually ran pretty well. Looking up the horses, they competed. I think the second horse is running some solid group races. The third horse actually did have some traffic in this race, and I didn't think ran that badly in here overall. But it seemed like a fairly strong race overall, and I thought Cadillac might be one in the second start, could take that step forward, and I'd rather take the fresher Euro in this particular case.
And he ran a fig in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf last year that if you just see some improvement into the 3-year-old year, it puts him right there. And 83 last year as a 2-year-old. Now, you add a few points onto that.
I
think it
agree.
puts him
And
right
maybe he's
there.
better with more distance.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a horse that's supposed to be able to be competitive here. I thought he was the best. The Euro Soldier Rising was running against extremely weak-looking groups when he was running and looking his races up overseas. We'll take a look at Secret Protector in the Godolphin Blue running a distant third. Not a distant third, behind the Mohef, who actually came back at third in a Group 2. The winner's race was third at 4-5 in a Group 2 in his next start. I thought he actually ran pretty well in here. He jumped up at the start, and I thought got going kind of late in here. I worry he may be a little bit too far out of it in here and make his run on American tracks. But I thought his last race was okay.
Yeah.
That's it? You had nothing to say?
Well, if he's as far back as he was last time,
Well, okay.
he's going to have a tough time up here.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think this horse ran badly.
But those Charlie Appleby horses, they've all come over.
Run.
The
Well,
Phillies
not
came-
the Sprinter yesterday,
No,
but okay.
But he was at the very least, he was keen.
But
and he was up
didn't
close.
run well.
Yeah.
State of Rest is the Joseph O'Brien horse coming over. He's got the one win. Looking at his races, he was held up a bit in the back, and I actually thought he ran fairly well last time. My general feeling, though, was I didn't know how strong those races he was running in. It felt like he's running against better horses. I know he's kept some good company last year. We'll see. He's a little bit of a wild card, and Joseph O'Brien's brought over horses that have run here as well. So I think that horse is dangerous.
Goes from the mile to the mile in 3/16. He's only had 2 races at a mile. Everything else was sprints. We'll see how to stretch
Yeah,
out
that's
helps
the
him.
concern,
Yeah.
the longer distance. But again, the milers, sometimes they can get longer distances. King Fury, a bit of a wild card in here. I thought we'd look at his Ohio Derby. My problem with King Fury is I get Kenny McTeague taking a chance. A lot of you might remember the dam of this horse, a horse named Terrace. Terrace broke her maiden by 100 lengths at Aqueduct, and she was a huge stakes horse that ran some giant figs, but she was a big dirt horse.
Yep.
There's absolutely no turf pedigree at all in the dam size. A flatter, it was a great sire, but it's not a huge turf influence. And I feel like they're just taking a shot in here, and I don't blame them, but this horse, what about this horse says he's going to be a turf horse?
You know what this smells of? Let's try this horse on the turf at a mile and 3/16 and get him ready for the Travers.
Well,
in
it's a
3
$1
weeks.
million turf
Right,
grade
exactly.
one. That's also what it smells of.
Yeah.
And
You can avoid,
unlike you and I,
you avoid essential quality in the Jim Dandy. You try for $1 million on the turf. If you turf and get a piece, you're ready in 3 weeks for the Run Happy Travers.
yeah, I don't see it that way, but okay. He could run the Travers, but anybody else? All right.
Talked about almost all of them.
The Grade 1 Saratoga Derby Invitational. Race number 10 is the big one, the Whitney. I have seen all of the prior 36 Whitneys except for Fiorito beating Fit to Fight. I've seen
Wow.
all the others. My first one was Ancient Title in 1975. Sandy Hawley, I think, rode him that day. He was, you know what Ancient Title was? His distinction, aside from being a tremendous racehorse, he was the first Cal-bred millionaire.
Wow.
I think when he won $1 million, I believe that only 3 horses had, Kelso and Forgo.
That's now the Santa
And
Anita
he-
Sprint Championship, right?
Well, that's one of the biggest disgraces in racing, that they would rename the Ancient Title the Santa Anita Sprint Championship. The horse is a legend, a great horse, and a great California bred as well. Where are we here? Let's talk about Knicks Go. I know it's too obvious here. But to me, Knicks Go is the best horse in the race. He's the lone speed. He's going to play come and catch me. And I just don't believe they are going to catch him. I know he's the favorite. I just think he's too good for these horses.
Okay, I'll play devil's advocate here. He has 3 races on his car without Lasix. 2 of them are awful.
Okay. Okay, hang on a second.
They're also both
One
around
of,
one turn.
one of them will bury this field.
They're also both around 1 turn.
Right. And you're Mr. One Turn, Two Turn.
I am.
And since
I-
Brad
I
Cox
am.
thinks that one
Listen,
turn's wrong for
I
him,
am.
and you're the king of one
I
turn,
am.
two turns,
He's also-
you're not allowed to use that as an excuse
No,
because he's run very well
I
with
can say
Lasix.
that he left.
Without Lasix.
He went out
Second best race he ever ran was without Lasix.
Prairie Meadows to get the money.
Right, to get a prep for this race, to get back
get a
on
prep
track.
for
Where
this
else was
race.
he supposed to run? What race? Was the Anthony Stabile handicap at 1 1/8 at Aqueduct going to be run?
That would have been great, wouldn't it?
It really would.
It
You
would
make
be-
a great
that would
point.
be fantastic.
I
he's
think you're
loose.
grasping at straws to make
well,
excuses.
listen.
If you want to pick against him, that's fine. But to deny that he's the worst to beat in this
Oh,
race is
no,
foolish.
he's the worst to beat. He's the worst to beat, but I do not think he's a cinch.
I didn't say it was a
don't think
cinch.
he's a cinch.
Did you hear the word cinch come out of my
not
mouth?
from you, not you, Andy. I think there are a lot of people that
They're
are
not on the
walking-
show. I don't think he's a
I think
cinch.
there are a lot of people walking in this building today to think this is a
Well-
coronation of sorts, and I don't agree with that.
No, I agree. I agree with that. As far as Maxfield, listen, Maxfield has really come around, and he's clearly stepped forward. I think the best thing that Brendan did, it's Brendan Walsh, his trainer, was bring him out to Santa Anita Handicap at a mile and a quarter because he's blossomed since that race. It's like the first time he got himself into a gut check. He not surprisingly lost. He was overbet that day at even money. He was some pretty darn good horses, by the way, in Idle and Express Train. But then he really blossomed when he came back to Churchill. On the other hand, the field is getting
These
a
company
lot
lines.
tougher.
Yes.
And he's going to have to get by Knicks Go. But I think he is the most likely horse by a mile to beat him if anyone
Yeah, the
beats him.
company lines are. I mean, they turn me off a little bit.
But he's
I know
buried
they
them.
can't pick. He is burying them. He is. And you know what? Godolphin is in a very fortuitous position. They have Mystic Guide, who can go the route of ground. They have Essential Quality handling the 3-year-old competition. And they have this horse at the middle distances. Whether they or not they all meet up at the Breeders' Cup, there are
This
races
horse is handling
for
the middle distances?
a mile and 16th races, yeah.
Well, he's
mile and an eighth, mile and
Why
16th.
would he have a problem with a mile and a quarter?
Well, he went the mile and a quarter. I mean, I think he proved
He's
that
a better
day.
horse than when he ran that mile and a quarter race.
Maybe he is.
You think he lost that race because of a mile and a quarter?
Maybe he is.
Okay.
I
We'll get to
think-
your selection, who honestly I had. My biggest struggle in this race was who to pick fourth. That was the only struggle I had in this race, to pick fourth. As far as Silver State, you don't want to knock a horse that's a Met Mile winner and has won 6 straight races. He's won the Oakland Handicap and the Met Mile in his last 2 races. Let's talk about the start for By My Standards. I didn't show the head on. You can go and watch it yourself. But this horse gets absolutely sloughed after the break and comes back. Here's my problem for you. Who ran a better race in here? Silver State or By My Standards?
By my standards.
Right. And Silver State is going to be a significantly shorter price because of his record. Silver State is a cool horse. He's an admirable horse that shows up and runs well every time.
And he
is
finds ways to win.
No, yes, he gets perfect trips in lesser situations. He ain't beaten Maxfield. He ain't beaten Knicks Go. And I don't believe he's beaten By My Standards, who's run a plethora of races faster than him, had a significantly worse trip than him last time, and still almost beat him. Are you really going to keep taking him, suggesting he's going to keep getting one perfect trip after another and everybody else is going to underperform?
But doesn't he put himself in position to get these trips?
No, it doesn't
You don't
matter.
think so?
It doesn't matter. They keep happening. Betting on horses,
So they keep
presuming
happening,
they're...
and you're going to assume it's just going to stop?
Yeah. Of course it's going to stop at some point.
And so it has
course it
nothing
is.
to do with his talent or
No,
his
I didn't say
ability to
I didn't
put
say it
himself
had
in these
anything to do with it.
positions.
The problem with him is, Anthony, that with his talent and perfect trips, he's not running anywhere close to fast enough to win this race.
And he's not running fast
He's not even in the
enough.
hunt to win this
He's
race
not
under the
running
most
fast
ideal
enough.
circumstances.
He's not running fast
So
enough.
how's he going to win?
He's not running fast enough to beat Knicks Go. If you're
Or
picking this
Maxfield.
horse,
Or By My Standards.
if you're picking this horse today, he's not that far off.
Picking
of
a race
By
I
My
think you've
Standards
been
or
drinking,
Magnus.
but that's
if you're
another story.
picking this horse today, you're hoping that there's a toe stub from Knicks Go, and that this horse improves.
Okay, can
and
I
runs the
bet you
race of
2
his life.
lunches that the 5 beats the 2?
Yeah, you could have the 1 against the 2 also if you like.
Okay, I'll give you 1 lunch on the 1 over the 2 because I
Okay.
love you, and you're giving me the best in the other one, and I'll give you 2 on the other one.
You got it.
Okay, so I've collected 5 lunches today. Here's my play.
I'll dunce cap. If Silver State doesn't beat Maxfield, I'll dunce cap.
Anthony, the dunce cap's at Belmont, and
Oh.
frankly, there isn't a dunce cap big enough to fit on that thing. I mean, anybody have a
Size
cone?
8.
Somebody just
Size
steal one
8.
of those cones off the street. It might fit over Anthony's head.
I've never seen a horse win 6 races in a row at different distances around 2
I
turns
know
of
you-
race. He gets no respect. He gets 0 respect. And I
He's in his barn crying right
I
now.
fully
He's
believe-
crazy. The Rodney Dangerfield of
I
racing.
fully believe Knicks Go is clearly
He
the
has
horse
no
to beat in this
respect.
race.
I love this respect thing.
Clearly the horse to
That's why
beat.
Jack Sisterson's my man. After the race when he won last week, grade 1, he said, I don't blame. I understand why he was 34-1. Everybody else goes, my horse isn't getting
He's
respect.
clearly the horse
He has
to
no
beat.
respect. He's got respect from you. My bet in this race is a try box. The first thing I'm going to make a small try box 1-4-5. And it'll graduate its way down to 4-5-1. But I think it could be a 4-1-5 finish in here as well. That's my play. Because I don't want him, and God bless Swiss Skydiver, and her Alabama was tremendous. And I'm going to tell you something. When I lose this race, and when there's an upset, I hope it's this horse. How do you not love this horse?
Well, you know what? We talk about the toe stub. If Nick Sko stubs his toe, you would have to think, as I like to say, she is going to inherit Nick Sko today. If Nick Sko goes the wrong way at some point, she's going to be the first one to come calling.
Well, wait a second. The presumption of that is that she's ever able to pass Nick Sko. He might go backwards a little after she does.
Well,
this is
that as it may.
Some start, and listen, even and to be fair to Kenny McPeek,
He's
who
behind
takes
the
chances,
he was behind the eight ball
he got
here.
a situation
No
where he
question
couldn't run
about
her
it.
anywhere, and he missed the shoe V. He didn't intend to run here, and I'm thrilled that he ran her, and she makes all races more interesting and more
No
fun.
question about
and the
it.
fact is, she did beat Authentic in the Preakness, who went to win the Breeders' Cup, and he won the Kentucky Derby, and her Alabama was good, and these races give her a chance to win here.
Yeah, they do.
And for those people that don't think she can run anymore as a 4-year-old, she ran great in the Beholder. So something went wrong in her last race. So I can see her winning here in a crazy scenario. I just don't believe it's going to happen.
Kenny mentioned something about Kenny McPeek. Her trainer mentioned something about a little leg infection.
Okay.
He probably shouldn't have run her.
Well, I get it. But forgetting about that. And I'll tell you something else about her. I think it is a really poor notion that she's better at longer distances than shorter distances. Because I can tell you something. Her Beholder Mile,
She's just a
one
good
of the best
filly.
races she ever ran. One of the best races she ever ran was her Fantasy, when she chased that monster Venetian Harbor, was in great form around the track and just blew her away. And she beat that bum She Dares the Devil as a multiple Grade 1 winner, won the Kentucky Oaks, by about 15
She's
lengths.
just a good filly.
And to me, what it is that she is as good at 1.25 miles as she is at the shorter distances, and a lot of other horses aren't as good at 1.25 miles.
She can handle it.
She can handle those distances. She's so good. She handles all those distances with
I think
aplomb.
when people see horses handle those distances, they automatically assume that they are distance horses,
Right. Yes. Great point. You make it.
which is
No.
unfair because she's just a
She's
really
a
good
horse,
filly.
right? It's like
Yeah.
Frenzy Fire can only win at Belmont.
Correct.
You know, it's these notions that they put labels on these horses. She's terrific. I'd love to see her run well. I have. I was here for Lady's Secret. I was here for Personal Ensign. And I was also here when Serena's Song lost to Mahogany Hall.
Mahogany Hall.
And when I think of Serena's Song losing to Mahogany Hall, here's what I remember. Jose Santos was riding Mahogany Hall, and his agent Drew Malik was sitting near me somewhere in the boxes, and I could just hear him screaming the whole way, "Come on, Joe." The whole stretch. So whenever I think of that race, I think of it. Look at this. One of the finest individuals to ever grace the halls of the New York
No
Racing
question about it.
Association. The tremendous
Hall of Famer.
Fran LeDun joining us on set.
They should have inducted
All of you
her
who are
yesterday
nearby,
across the street.
a standing ovation.
They should have
for
inducted her
one of
across
my
the street
favorite
yesterday.
people in the entire world, and now she leaves. Race number 11. We've still got 2 to go, and we got plenty of energy left. Race number 11. Look at this. I picked your favorite horse. And we'll show risk-taking, who's probably not going to win this race, but Anthony and I are going to pick him. He was Anthony's Derby horse, by the way,
He was.
after he won this race.
Look at this one.
He's still holding out hope for the Oklahoma Derby, Seth. So if you're thinking of shipping him, Chad, Seth, the Oklahoma Derby for Anthony. Today is the day for him. Today is the day
just
for
put
him
up
to
or
show
shut
up.
up.
He's getting
Yep.
pace, gets Lasix for the first time. If he's not competitive here, he's just not much horse.
I had a
He may
couple of
not
pe-
win, but he's...
I had a couple of friends ask me why he's never run on Lasix. All of his races are 2-year-old,
Or
not
graded
allowed.
stakes, or
And
graded
then he was
stakes.
all graded stakes.
Yeah.
So there you go. First time Lasix
You can
today.
figure that one out for
In the
yourself.
two other- I had a couple of friends who don't
You have a couple
come
of
as
friends?
often as we do. I have many friends.
Besides Phil, you have friends?
Phil and
Louie.
Phil be here
Phil's
Wednesday.
a great man.
Yeah. The Lasix, we hope the Lasix
He
helps.
can't go to Oklahoma. I just got the call. It's an issue.
All
I'm
right.
sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. We'll find something
They
for him.
considered it, but
We'll find something for him.
is there a possible Derby left he can go to? The Canadian Derby.
That would be
Is your favorite
sensational.
race.
That would be
I'm not sure
unbelievable.
how good risk-taking is, but the Preakness will give him a pass. He obviously ran lousy. I think we're both hoping that he can refine that form. He has been training well. They consider the Jim Dandy. Listen, he's facing some tough horses. And I do respect Super Perfecto, who you've left out of the top 4 and think you're insane. But, I mean, between Super Perfecto and Empty Tomb, isn't there supposed to be a little bit of pace in this
Yes.
race? And even Lost in Rome has to go. You'd think there's going to be some pace.
Yeah, I agree.
I may have been remiss in not having Chestertown higher, who's a new gelding. You've got him third.
Yep.
Danny California, you have second?
I like Danny California a little bit today. Getting back
Oh,
to
Rudy.
getting
Little
back
love
to-
for Rudy.
getting-
You picked him in a stake.
getting
You really
back
need to pick him in a race you
getting
can't
back
win.
to dry ground. His horse might not at this time want to run on wet ground anymore. Rudy gets to run him on a fast track.
Where is
for the
his
first
dry?
time.
Where are his dry track races to
Listen,
make him
it's
competitive?
first time Rudy on the dry track. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, the Notice never won.
They did, but I'm just saying. I want to
It was
try
a barn
this
that
horse.
was winning with everything.
I want to try the horse Rudy first time on
Hey,
fast
listen,
ground.
maybe you can make a parlay from Lyman Knight to him. Lyman Knight did run 5th, to be fair. He did run 5th.
What am I going to tell
He
you,
beat
man? That
two
wasn't
of the other
Rudy.
horses that got out of the
Rudy.
gate.
That was Gustavo.
He got 2 others out of the gate. I think that Superfecto is going to run well from the rail. Empty tomb, but I'm taking risk-taking. And I did it for you because I know
So
you
you
love
left my horse
risk-taking.
alone, man.
Do you have, like, sheets that you sleep on with risk-taking's picture on them?
That would be unbelievable.
It really would.
I would love
You know, maybe we
risk-taking
could get those
sheets.
made. Maybe we could. I'm going to end the conversation there because Anthony might go in a direction that nobody wants him to go into. Race number 12. Race number
This
12.
guy, man.
I'm
We're
just looking.
almost home.
You picked Myers Queen in here?
Yeah.
Anthony got a little tired by the time he got to race 12,
No.
so I'll talk about it. The number 3 Sussex Garden, I kind of feel like is one of the horses to beat in here. I thought she actually ran pretty well because I think you want to keep in mind this race really fell apart. And I thought she ran fairly well, and I think she wants less distance, don't you?
Yeah, I guess. These 5.5 furlong races,
These 5.5 furlong
the
races.
horse is cutting back from to the 5.5 furlong
But
races.
she's a sprinter over in Europe.
Yeah, I know.
But so maybe that's what they're doing here. They're trying to find out if really that's what she
But
wants
why
to
would
do.
you go to mile?
Because that's the race that she was eligible for to see how good she was.
I guess.
I mean, I don't think there's anything that's really, you're asking questions that seem silly here. Okay, I'll be nice. No, I won't, but I'll be nice for 2 seconds. How can Myers Queen possibly win this race?
Just sit behind the other speed and pick them up. I thought she ran fine last time.
Anthony, she got gifted the. You did?
I did. Thought she ran okay last time.
Okay, I didn't. I think this is
Okay.
I think this is a significantly deeper and tougher race than the one, and I bet her last time.
Okay.
I think there's a lot going on in here. I think Risky Mischief, who you have second, is extremely dangerous in here coming off the layoff. Jeremiah's numbers are okay off layoffs and turf sprints. I don't like Time Limit, but she could take the step forward off the win here. I like the 10 Bay Storm. I think that Bay Storm race she comes out of is a lot better race than it looks. The second horse came back and improved her figure 11 points. Jonathan Thomas, turf sprints, 180-day plus layoffs. You know, if you're a deadhead, this is what you get. 6 for 12. This guy has them ready to go. Third draft improved her figure 9 points coming out of that race. That race was a much better race than it looks, and that race was as a 2-year-old. And this is for a trainer who has exceptional numbers coming back off of layoffs. There's every reason she steps forward. I think she's extremely dangerous in here. But, Anthony, I wish you luck with Myers Queen. I really do. When I
Thanks.
lose, I hope I lose to
I
you.
appreciate it, Andy.
I really do.
You're such a gentleman and a scholar.
I'll make any sort of bet you want to make in this race.
No, I'm good.
No, you're good?
I'll take
Anybody
all,
got a traffic cone yet?
I'm going to take all of those.
What was the dunce cap? Why were you wearing it?
Take all those
Which
Silver
horse
State,
was it you were
Silver
gonna,
State and Maxfield.
If
I'll take all those
Maxfield
Silver
doesn't
State.
win, there will be a dunce. If Silver State does not finish out of Maxfield, the dunce cap, which is in my office at Belmont, will be enlarged to fit on that cranium.
Done.
How many of my heads do you
Done.
get fit inside your head?
3. Wait, egos or actual physical heads?
Wait a second. Battle of the egos? Trust me, my ego may be large. Believe me, your ego and Rock'em Sock'em Robots would win. Head over to Naira Bets if you're not a member of Naira
God.
Bets.
He's
Use the
not
promo
wrong,
codes.
folks.
I know I'm not.
He's
Spot
not wrong.
200. Head over to NairaBets.com and become a member of Naira Bets. Keep the money in the game. Play through Naira Bets. We will match $200 of your initial deposit just to tell you how much we love you, and we do love you. Travers Bankroll Builder, bet $50 to win on the Whitney. $50 to win the Whitney. Win or lose, you will get $20 towards your Travers Bankroll on Travers Day. We also have multiple pick fives today. Race number 1 starts at pick 5. Race number 6 starts at pick 5 of all stakes. And race number 8 starts the final pick 5. 3 is better than 2, and it's certainly better than 1 as well. Saratoga Live, 12:30 to 7 with his special 12:35 first post today on FS2 if you're not able to join us. Oh,
Got my Hambo PPs.
and our man Anthony Stabile will be making an appearance on
Got my Hambo
FS2,
PPs.
talking about
Wait,
a little
we giving
Hambo.
the winners out? No. Got the Hambo PPs right
He
here.
will not be wearing his driver's outfit, or is it a doctor's outfit? Because you know, they're all doctors. Everybody have a wonderful Whitney Day here at Saratoga. John Imbrial, the voice of the New York Racing Association, will be up in just a moment, right after a special live version of the national anthem. He will give you the scratch and changes, but a special live version not sung by the Big A Stabile. Have a wonderful day.